Alright guys, so for today I got a little tutorial has to do with the water heater. A lot of people forget to do this when they get a new water heater, even if they have an old one. But if you're gonna invest, man, for a 50-gallon tall, anywhere from 1,500 to maybe 2,000 depending on where you're at in the country, but down here in Florida it'd be somewhere between 50 and 1,600 to have a new 50-gallon tall installed. But anyway, so a lot of times when we change out these water heaters, the one previous is 20, 25 years old, maybe it could be 15 years old. The oldest one I've ever changed out is probably 35 years old. But what you can do to protect your investment, I mean, 1,500 bucks, nothing really to wave a stick at. I would flush this once a year, especially down here in Florida. The water quality is not the greatest. I've been to a lot of new housing communities and they have city water, and you think city water, you're probably pretty good to go, but a lot of these people with these newer houses are finding that they have to have a water filtration system on their house because the water quality is so poor in some of these areas. But this heater right here I installed in 2021, halfway through 2021. The manufacturer date is 21, so it's been about a year and a half. This is my house, so I want to get it flushed, keep it efficient. What will happen is you'll have all the sediment and the minerals and stuff, they'll crystallize, they'll eat up the anno rod, which I'm not going to mess with that today. Maybe in another 6 months I'm going to pull this anno rod out and get another video and see what that looks like, and we'll switch it out. But so what I'm going to do today is flush this water heater, and I have a strainer at the end of my hose outside, and I want to see if I can catch any sediment and see how bad is the water here. We don't have any staining or anything like that in the toilets or in the fixtures, but the water, that doesn't mean the water's not hard and has a lot of junk in it that could accumulate in the bottom of your tank. And if you flush this thing once a year, it's gonna be more efficient for you. It's gonna stay efficient. So this one doesn't have one of those little yellow stickers that says $400 and $500 a month, or a year to run this heater, because I got this at a supply house, so it's a little bit better quality than you'll get from a big box store. It's got a brass drain on it instead of the plastic one you would get from like a Home Depot or something. But these reams are great. I can't say enough about Ream. A.O. Smith I'd stay away from. It's a Lowe's brand. It's just not my favorite. I've had a lot of issues for them. The Reams, I hardly ever go back and have to change anything for them. So what I have here is a Milwaukee transfer pump hooked up to a laundry hose for like a washing machine. And it's hooked up to my drain right here for the heater. So to start this process, I'm gonna find the valve. It's on the cold side, so I'm gonna isolate that valve. I'm gonna turn that valve off. Then I'm gonna come over to my breaker, find the water heater, and turn it off, because you do not want to drain this thing with the water heater on. You need to turn the breaker off, because it's what we call dry fire. You're gonna blow the elements. You're gonna have to have somebody come replace them, unless you're handy enough to do it. But if you're not comfortable with this job, call a professional. It takes about an hour. Really, you don't need the pump. You can do it with a hose if you want, but I happen to have the pump because this is what I do for a living. So I'm gonna open up this drain now that we have the water off. Just a little flathead. It's already open. A lot of times what you'll have with these two is those cheap plastic drains. If it is full of sediment, they'll get clogged up and it'll just be a nightmare to flush. Sometimes we have to disconnect them, take them out to the yard, unscrew the drain out there and let it drain, get all the sediment out. But I'm gonna start this pump, and then I'm gonna show you guys the strainer I have, and we'll see if it catches anything. So I have this little mesh strainer right here. I'm gonna let the water go through and see if we catch anything. We might not. I mean, the heater's, like I said, only a year and a half old, so like I said, this is the first time it's being flushed. I just want to do a water quality check on it and see if I need to flush it as often as a year, or if I can go a year and a half, 2 years. and do it that way. So this will tell us right now, doing this today, if we need to get anything out of here on a more often schedule. So I stopped this pump for a second just because I realized you guys couldn't see it in the first part of the video. So this is a setup. It's a Milwaukee transfer pump. If you can get part number, focus. I can leave a link in the video for this, but this thing's been great. I have a small little washing machine hose hooked up to that, to my drain. And then I have a real nice quality black rubber hose. You don't want to use a garden hose, man. They're garbage. Be a professional. So I have a nice black rubber hose in there, and that's the setup. You could take the hose and hook it straight up to the drainer and do the same thing, but in my line of work and everybody else's, time is money. So I use the pump. That's just me. As a homeowner, you don't need to go out and get a $200 pump. You can just use the hose. So that's the setup for draining the heater. I'm gonna let it keep ripping and we'll get back to it. All right, so look at this, guys. After I drained it, now I'm flushing it with clean water. Look what it did. It pushed all that sediment out. There's a lot of smaller stuff that's getting through the mesh, but that'll give you an idea. That's really not that much, but I mean, for a 1.5-year water heater, this is what you guys are bathing in. You know, that is in the bottom of your water heater, and you're bathing in this stuff. So it's important to try to do this once a year. Like I said, I had nothing coming out when I was pumping it, so I was expecting it to be pretty clean, but this just proves that even the best water's not really that great. You guys see that? So I got a little bit to come out, not a lot, which is good, but now I know that all this stuff is not sitting in the bottom of my tank. Me and my family, we're not bathing or showering in, you know, this crap. So now what I got going on is I've disconnected my hose, closed the drain, I've opened this thing up, and what you can do now is go inside and open up a kitchen faucet. I have a sink out here in my garage that's hooked up to the hot water. Somebody ran these lines before I bought the house. Don't, you know, comment warriors, don't give me hell. I haven't repiped this yet. I mean, it's really not that terrible, but probably want to get rid of the CP and go in PEX one day. But I'm gonna open up the hot side of my shop sink and let all the air bleed out of that. Once that thing the air quits sputtering and spitting and it's running smooth, then you know this is full, all the air's out of it, and you can turn your breaker on. So I'm gonna open that up. You guys can probably hear the air coming out of that thing now. If it wasn't a shop sink and all nasty and full of paint and whatever, I'd show you, but all that air is coming out, and when that thing starts to run smooth, I know we're good to go and I can turn the breaker on. So I hope this has been informative to you guys. Hopefully you can flush your water heater. Like I said, you want to protect your investment. You know, water heater is a big expense, and especially on a weekend. If you call me on a weekend, you're gonna be paying over $2 grand for me to come out there and change your water heater out. If it's after hours or on the weekend, emergency rate. So protect your investment. It takes an hour max without a pump to get this thing running efficiently. And a lot of people don't realize, or they forget about it, or maybe they're just not informed. So hopefully this will help you guys out. Flush your heaters. What I did a little bit extra is I got just a regular sheet of paper. I just put 6/1/21 for install because I don't know exactly when I did it, but I know it's halfway through the year 21. And then I put today's date for the flush. So now I have a record. If I wasn't a plumber and I was a homeowner and I showed up, or if I showed up to your house and you had records, I'd be super impressed. So just keep a nice record, that way you know. So now I'll know for a year from today, it's time to flush it again. Maybe I'll get a little bit out. I didn't get a lot out, but over 10, 15 years, that stuff will build up. And, you know, like I said, you're showering in it. So if you're a germaphobe, get the water heater flushed. So I hope you guys got something out of this video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll try to keep them coming. So Have a good day. One last tip, I'm sorry. It's a lot of information and knowledge to drop in 10 minutes. So, in regards to flushing that water heater, if the heater's out of warranty by a year or two, it's probably fine. If it's 7, 8, 9, 10 years old or older, I wouldn't bother until you get a new water heater. The reason being is because sometimes when you flush that heater, if there's a lot of sediment, it could cause pinholes in the inner tank. And you know, like on that water heater, that gray outer part of that water heater, that's not the whole thing. You got insulation about that thick behind it, and then an inner tank in that. And sometimes that tank will get pinholes in it, and that sediment actually fills those little pinholes. So if you flush a heater, you might end up unblocking those pinholes and causing yourself bigger problems. So what I would do is, if your heater is 10 years plus, you're worried about it going out on a weekend or something, you don't want to spend the money, you want to invest right now before you and your family are without hot water, do that. Get the new heater, and then get with your plumber and start scheduling regular flushes, an annual flush, what have you. Also for a gas heater, it's the same type of scenario. Turn the gas off, turn the gas control valve into the off position, but then you'll have to relight it. So if you're not comfortable with gas, a lot of people in Florida aren't. People from up north, there's gas way more than there is down here. We do have gas down here, but it's not as common as an electric heater. So call a professional, don't be ashamed. That's what we're here for. So just the last few tips for you guys. I'm gonna try to get some work done here in the office now, and let me know, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll try to keep some more videos coming. I do a lot of stuff on Instagram, a lot of interesting stuff I see going to people's houses and going behind old Handy Andy. So possibly gonna start a podcast too, and talk about some stuff in the trades. And a lot of my friends are business owners and they work in other trades, so that would be kind of cool to see what their day-to-day is and some of their challenges and issues, and what they do. So if you guys like, comment, and subscribe, I'll keep them coming. So